So we will pay homage to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Today we will start the recollections of the Dhamma. In Buddha's teaching, we have actually 10 types of Dhamma. The learning, the Pariyatti, is also called Dhamma. Then when we talk about Dhamma here in these recollections, then it means the supplementing Dhamma. 4 path knowledges, the 4 fruition knowledges, and Nirvana. Altogether 9 of supplementing Dhammas. So now, when we are going to talk about Dhamma's quality, as we have already known that there are 6 types of qualities commonly we have in our daily chant. So, in the very beginning of this Dhamma, Svakado, where it's founded, this is the first quality. So it means in this quality, we also have to include the learning Dhamma, the Pariyatti Dhamma. Because this is teaching. When we teach or when we listen, this is also called Pariyatti. That's why Svakado includes learning Dhamma, also supplementing Dhamma, both. What does it mean? Where it's founded? So the Dhamma is where it's founded. So the Dhamma is where it's founded. Good in the very beginning, good in the middle, and also good in the end. Not only that, it also mentioned it's utterly perfect and pure with meanings and what is detail announces the noble practice. Here I should elaborate a little bit more. So there are mentions it's utterly pure and perfect. In Pali, we call Sattan Sabranjana like this. So what does it mean? It's purely perfect. Pure and perfect. So one more thing about pure with the meaning, right? Pure with the meaning. Meaning means we get like a satta in Pali. So one more thing here. When we talk about Buddha's quality, we can also find how the Buddha reflects on his Dhamma before he starts giving Dhamma talk. They mentioned Attaka Vajra is between imaginary. By imagination, we cannot understand the Dhamma. By practice, we can experience them. This called really, we can understand real meaning of Dhamma, right? So now about Satta. Satta means perfect meaning, pure in meaning, pure with meaning. So if the meaning is good, that's why people also have good faith or very strong faith in Buddha's teaching. Because we say Satta means like benefit. And then Sabbanjana is also trustworthy. Because it also one of the things with the detail, right? And it's also very clear teaching, especially about the practice. Then there's one more thing about the mentions. It's utterly perfect and pure. That means Kevala Paripurna and Parisuddham, 2 Pali words. Kevala Paripurna means we don't need to add anything into the Buddha's teaching. It's naturally, originally perfect. Parisuddham, oh, this is not very good, so we have to remove this part, and not like this. we can keep it as a natural, as an origin. This is called Parisuddha. So that is the Buddha's teaching, the Dhamma. It's totally pure and perfect, without any additional ones to remove or without anything to add into it. He also mentions very clearly about the practice. That is why this is called Supatipanna. This is the first part. Then it also explains many different types of good in the beginning, good in the middle, good in the end, with the next slide. So in a single stanza, okay, here we have to introduce something about a stanza, right? So one more thing, we may have a short stanza, such as Sabha Baba Sa Akarana, Kusala Subha Samara, Sajita Priyodhapana, Etam Bhutana Sasana. There are only 4 sentences or 4 lines in a stanza. In each sentence, it will be only 8 vowel sounds. So altogether there will be 32 vowel sounds in the stanza. This is called a single stanza or a stanza. In the stanza, the first sentence is good in the beginning. Okay, I have recited one stanza. The one is like Samabhavasa Akarana, not doing any evil. This is the one thing. Then this good in the beginning. Kusala Subha Sambara. I mean, to accumulate wholesome deeds. This good in the middle. Then Sajita Priyodhapanam. So the one is, right? To purify one's own mind. That is one thing, right? So the second one is to accumulate or to perform wholesome deeds. The third one is to purify one's own mind. These two are good in the middle. The last one is this is the teaching of the Buddha. This is good in the end. So this in one stanza. So in our religion also there are many stanzas, many verses. In any stanzas, we can understand the first line or the first sentence is good in the beginning. The second and the third sentences are good in the middle, and the last sentence is good in the end. That is, we call Sakkata. Then again, in the discourse, so that with a single sequence, Ekanusandika. The introduction is good in the beginning. The main teaching is good in the discourse, is good in the middle. Also, the conclusion is good in the end. For example, when we study Anguttara Nikaya, we can find many discourses about, right? In the book of 1, for example, there are only one thing is very beneficial for. The arising of one person is very beneficial for all the world, all over the world. This introduction. Who is that? Is the Buddha. This is it, the main teacher. And at the end, the Buddha also explained. So this is the one who arises in this world. It will be beneficial for all over the world. This is the conclusion. There's only one thing mentioned. You can learn this kind of things in Anguttara Nikaya. Not only that, there are many other teachings similar to it. So the main thing is, even it's very short stanza, the introduction is good in the beginning, the main teaching in the discourse is good in the middle, and also the conclusion is good in the end. We have to understand like that. Then again, when we have to continue the next one, the discourse with several sequences. The first sequence is good in the beginning. The middle sequences are good in the middle. The last sequences are good in the end. So this is the first part we have to understand. Now, okay, I have to give one simile about the teaching of it. So in the like a Tika Nipata, for example, it mentions like there are three types of Dharma. For example, the concentrations, or it also can be like morality, concentrations, and wisdom. And the Chatuka Nipata, it mentions, for example, like concentrations, wisdoms, and also the morality, concentrations, wisdom, and liberations, something like that. So it will mention many things, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6. You can go and read many things in Anguttara Nikaya. Okay, for clear understanding, I should introduce one thing about like a Lekha Sutta, right? About anger. It mentions something about anger in Anguttara Nikaya. So there mentions there are three types of people who have their anger. The first type is they will be very angry. That's when their hatred is like a inscription on the stone. We cannot remove, right? Then there are second types of people. Then their hatred is also a little bit strong, but they are like writing in the sand in the beach. For example, you may have seen writing something in the beach. When the wave comes and strikes the beach, all the inscriptions will disappear. Similarly, there are some people, they have hatred, but not very strong. This is the second type, right? The third type is there are some people, they have their hatred, but their hatred is not so strong, like writing on the water. After writing, it disappears. So here we can say three things, right? So go in the very, very beginning, go in the middle, go in the end, because there are three. So in the very beginning also we can understand well, right? That's very good meaning. Second one is a very good meaning. That one is very good in meaning. Also very clear meaning, very perfect. We can clearly understand how is it hatred, how many degrees of hatred, very clearly. So in this kind of case, we can say separate sequences. So the first sequence is good in the beginning, the middle sequence is good in the middle, then the last sequence is good in the end. Okay, for example, we may have like Book 11 in Anguttara Nikaya. I think you may have known the 11 benefits of religion metta. Later we have to explain the one in metta meditation. Okay, the main thing is, so there we mention 11, you know. The first one is good in the very beginning, the middle 9 is good in the middle, then the last one is good in the end. We can also understand like that. So it depends on the discourses the Buddha delivered. For example, in the Digha Nikaya, it will be very, very long discourses. Now we have to understand another way. So, okay, now next one. So, if we talk about in the Sutta or Vinaya, the introductions and the reasons of teaching is good in the beginning. This is the first part, right? Then suitability for listeners and equivocal in meaning or explaining together with examples and reasons are good in the middle. Inspiring faith is good in the end. That is it in the suttas or in Vinaya. Okay, here I have to introduce one thing about their teachings. For example, we have the first discourse in Digha Nikaya called Brahmajala Sutta. So in the Brahmajala Sutta, the Buddha explained anything about wrong view. So where the Buddha delivered? Really on the way. they mention Andaraja, Nalanda, Andaraja, Rajagam, between Rajagam and Nalanda. So non-Bodhi ascetics are arguing. Non-Bodhi ascetic disciples and teacher are arguing about Buddha's and Dhamma and Sangha. So this is the reasons. Then the Buddha also talked to the bhikkhus about Brahmajala Sutta. This is the main ingredient. So Buddha explained that teaching timely. It also suitable for the listeners. When we go and study the Brahmajala Sutta, all the wrong views are very clear in meaning. Buddha also give many examples, many similes. That one is good in the middle. So after listening, then they also have gained faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. So that's inspiring faith is good in the end, according to this teaching. So we can also apply in many other suttas. For example, we may know second suttas in Digha Nikaya called Samanyaphala Sutta. This is a very long discourses. Talk to King Ajatasattu. So the introduction is very clear. King Ajatasattu came to see the Buddha, right? This is the main things. This is the reasons of teaching. Then in the main teaching is really, really very long. Buddha asked many questions to Ajatasattu about how wrong view holders accept their traditions and many things like that. Then the Buddha also explained something about morality, concentrations, and wisdoms, very much in detail there. At the end, there's conclusions. Ajatasattu had very strong faith in the Buddha. He accepts himself as a Buddha disciple. He declared himself as a Buddha disciple. This is called good in the end. Okay, now we have the next one. As we have known the three trainings. So morality is good in the beginning. Concentrations, insights, path and fruition knowledge are good in the middle. Nirvana is good in the end. So this is according to the training. Morality, this is the prerequisites of meditation. Without that, we cannot practice meditation. So concentration, this is all the foundations for insights, vipassana. When insight knowledge becomes very mature and powerful, we can take path and fruition knowledge. Take Nibbana as object. So when we enter Nibbana, sure, this is no more life, right? That's why morality is good in the beginning, concentrations, the path knowledge, or the insight knowledge, the path knowledge, and fruition knowledge. These are good in the middle. Also, Nibbana is good in the end. Actually, Nibbana and fruitions are good in the end. Okay. So, anyway, we have the next group, right? Morality and concentrations are good in the beginning. Also, insight knowledge and path knowledge are good in the middle. Fruition knowledge and review knowledge are good in the end. This is also about the practice. So, as we have already know, morality and concentrations, right? These are before vipassana. Based on that, we can practice vipassana. We can attain path knowledge, or rather, fruition knowledge. We also have review knowledge. So the sequence. Okay, this is it. Okay, the last. This is okay. One more part. Next one. So the good discovery made by the Buddha is good in the beginning. That is the first one, right? So if the Buddha didn't know the noble Dhamma, we may not have any opportunity to learn or to meditate, to practice. Then again, the well-regulatedness of the Dhamma is good in the middle. Dhamma Suddhamata, right? So the Buddha also formulate or regulate the Dhamma very well. Okay, here we have to introduce one more thing about the nature of the Buddha's teaching. It will be a little bit complicated for some meditators. From time to time, they also ask me some complicated questions as they understand. Okay, practically, everybody know the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. It's also really, really very long discourse. Then some meditator asks me, so should we start with Anapanasati, after that go to the next part, right? Fourth and the 9th rounds and so forth. So after that, we have to go to clear comprehensions, 4 postures, clear comprehensions, 32 body parts, 4 elements, and so forth. But this is actually not the sequence of practice, not the order of practice. This is the order of teaching. So we have to remember these 2 different things. Most of the suttas are the order of teaching. It's not the order of practice. We must understand this one. So briefly, in every suttas or every teaching, the Buddha will arrange according to listener's temperament and their tendency and their maturity. That is why it will be different. Sometimes the same things, but different explanations. For example, Four Noble Truths, explained in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta and explained in Mahasatipatthana Sutta. 2 different. But if we wish to know very much in detail about the Four Noble Truths, we can go and learn in Mahasatipatthana Sutta. If we wish to know very briefly, we can study in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Okay, the main thing is good discovery by the Buddha, right? This is good in the very beginning. Then the teaching is also well regulated. This is good in the middle. Then also the well practiced by the Sangha is good in the end. That means there are many theory, many logic. It's really useful for imaginary or for thinking, not very useful for practice. But the Buddha teachings are different. We can practice. As practitioners, okay, we can as practitioners, attaining Buddhahood is good in the beginning. So, okay, in Buddha teaching is a little bit different, right? In other religions, their God will remain gods. Nobody can become gods. But in Buddha teaching is different. If we practice, we can become Buddha. The Buddha also explains how to fulfill parami, how we should have our attitudes. What kind of attitude should we have when we are fulfilling parami, perfections? It explains very much in detail. After listening, how to fulfill paramis, the perfections, how to practice, how to change our attitudes, then we can attain Buddhahood. Right? This is good in the very beginning. This is the highest one. Similar things happen. After listening, we may have strong faith, we become knowledgeable, and we can fulfill parami, we can also attain Pacceka Buddhahood. Then this is also good in the middle. So at least by learning the Buddha teaching, we can also practice as the Buddha guided. Then we can attain arhatship. This is also good in the end. That is also called well-expounded Dhamma. Then again, the next part. So the subtractions, the hindrances, by listening to it is good in the beginning. Okay, one more thing here I have to explain. So we have many discourses. Then the Buddha explained many different ways to overcome defilements. Although we cannot practice practically, not yet practice practically, but when we get angry, for example, we also very heaty in the body, right? Not very comfortable in our mind. But after listening to short discourse from the Buddha, or maybe after reading a small passage in the Buddha's teaching, okay, we have one simile, right? This is also mentioned in the Buddha's teaching. When we get angry, although we are eating very delicious foods, it's not tasty because of anger, you know? Although we wear very, very beautiful clothes, we does not look beautiful because of anger. Although we live in the luxurious place, we don't feel, we not feel comfort because we have anger. So there are many ways to overcome anger also. What I explained, many ways to overcome anger. For example, like when you get angry, radiate metta, radiate karuna, compassion, radiate sympathetic joy, radiate equanimities, upekha to our living beings. You can overcome hatred. You can overcome anger. So although we cannot apply this, if we know the way, ideally we can subside defilements for a short time. So although we have the opportunity to listen to the discourse or Buddha's teaching, we can suppress hindrances. This is good in the beginning. Bringing the bliss of samatha and vipassana by practicing it is good in the middle. So sometimes after listening, we may practice practically. So when we can practice well, we can also experience bliss, happiness. For example, when we practice anapanasati, when breath and the mind become very harmonious, we may experience tranquility. We may also experience rapture, joy. So if we have this kind of attainment, this kind of practice, sure, this kind of experience, this is also good. Totally new experience for us. And for example, when we practice vipassana, we can know nama rupas very clearly. We can also break down the components. We can see ultimate realities very much in detail. It also can produce happiness, rapture, joy, and tranquility. This is also good in the middle. After that, bringing unshakable equipoise after attaining eldership is good in the end. Okay, here we have to talk about the Pali words. Oh, he has been equipoise, right? But we have to use the Pali word tati guna. Tati guna means unshakable. So that means although we experience many good things, our mind were not inclined to it. Although we experience many bad things, we may not feel discomfort in our minds. We may not feel displeased or unpleasant, or we will not feel something discomfort in our mind. This is called Dati Guna. Yeah, we just unshakable or equipoise, right? But anyway, the main thing is this is the benefit or the result of practicing. If we can practice perfectly, we will not have any defilements. Although we have many desirable things or desirable objects, our mind will be natural. Although we have many undesirable objects, our mind will remain natural. it can be shaken by good and bad. So you can imagine we have emotion, right? Emotions come from good and bad. When we experience good also, we have emotion. When we experience bad also, we have emotion. But now, when we can practice Dhamma, no more emotion, whether we experience good or bad. That is the benefit of practice. This is good in the end. So these are the teaching we call Swakado, well expounded Dhamma. Actually, there are many other things to explain about well expounded Dhamma, right? So anyway, when we talk about next one, Santitika. So Santitika, this means I mentioned visible here and now. What does it mean visible here and now? So the noble Dhamma can be seen and experienced by noble one himself here and now, letting the defilements go. So here in this case, we should introduce the first part. The disappearance of defilements can be experienced practically. We don't need to wait. We can subside defilements practically if we can practice well. We don't need to wait for next life or next week or next month or next year. So that is the first part. We have to know something about Santitika, right? Another thing is also mentions the noble Dhamma, the noble one can experience the path, the fruition, the Nibbana by his revealed knowledge. So many people ask, can we know that we attain arhatship? Or can we know we can attain noble-hood? Sure, we can know it because we have revealed knowledge. So that's why Santitika, that means we can practically experience disappearance of defilements. Also, actually, we can subside hindrances or defilements. We can also experience Nibbana. We can also experience path knowledge. We also experience fruition knowledge by revealed knowledge. This is practical. So it's not only imaginary, not only theory. If we practice, we can really experience. That's why we call Santitika. In Bali we call Santitika, right? Then again, we have next part. The defilements are conquered by noble paths that associate with proper right view. Okay, this one is a little bit different from previous one. So here we have already mentioned the noble paths also conquered the defilements. Because noble path will associate with right view. Right view means understanding of the Four Noble Truths. So by understanding Four Noble Truths, we can conquer the defilements by the power of noble path. The fruitions that is the cause of irretrievable right view. For example, when we have maintained right view, is retraceable, right? It can retrace anytime. So when we attain noble foods, our right view cannot disappear anymore. It will remain all the time. We may not have any wrong view anymore. So Nibbana is also called Santitika, because this is the of our right view. Okay, one more thing about right view here. Right view is also called knowledge or wisdom. Without wisdom, we cannot have right view. We can also say right understanding or right knowledge or right wisdom. Okay, the main thing is, if we have already attained noble food, it will let all the defilements go. That's called Santitika. We can practically experience in this very life. We don't need to wait for the next life. But this is about Santitika. Then next one is Akaliko, not delay, or in giving its results. Not delay. Okay, for example, in our daily life, we have to wait to get result, right? After taking examination, we have to wait for results. Not only that, if we are working for earning also, we have to wait sometimes to get salary or money or payment. But for about supra-mountain state, especially noble path. So the path knowledge gives its fruits immediately next to its own occurrence. The practitioner need not wait for its fruits. So if we can understand Dhamma and mental process, it will be easier to understand this kind of quality. So we have mental process. What about them we know? Or what about them we see, we hear, we smell, we taste, we touch? Similarly, when we can attain path and fruition knowledge, also we have mental process. After path knowledge, fruition knowledge arises without any interval. That's why no delay. If somebody say, "Oh, I have attained Sautapatti path knowledge, but I haven't attained fruition knowledge yet," this is actually crazy things, is untruth. Okay, now we have to move to the next one. Pasiko. Invitation of expectations. Mostly we also say, come and see. So there we have mentioned is the worthy of invitation or invitation of inspiration because it's purity and being found. So if something is impure, we're gonna invite anybody to come and see. If something is untruth or nothing exists in it, we're gonna say, come and see it. For example, here we can say, one more thing. You can practically experience, come and practice. Right? Come and see, then you come and practice. So you may have known that Kalama Sutta, right? They have mentioned, Buddha say, don't believe only tradition, don't believe only the textbooks. Buddha say many different things. After that, Buddha just say, after practicing, if beneficial, accept it. That is it, the way we have to understand. Anyway, so here we have some simile. Okay, I will grasp something in our hands. It's like a harmful things, not very useful for other people. Although I open my heart, my palms and show, nobody will come and see it because it's not interesting. I will grasp in my hands a piece of ruby or palms, or maybe jade or anything. Okay, we should talk about, okay, now ruby. Okay, so I will grasp in my hands. I will grasp a ruby in my hands. Then I will talk to people. I am going to show you something very valuable. Then have you ever? I will talk about the area where we can get ruby, right? That kind of quality. Have you ever, for example, in Myanmar, we have Moko, one of the city. We can get many rubies there. Okay, so I will say, have you ever been to Moko? Then we have very good quality. One of the special thing we can get from Moko. I'm going to show you special things from the Moko. Then I will open my arms to show them. the ruby. Very interesting, right? So I will grasp only a piece of fruit, okay, to make it easier. Like a name fruits, for example. I'm grasping name fruits. I'm going to show you special things in my hands. When I open the name fruits, nobody will be interested in it, right? So similarly, the Buddha teaching is really valuable. That is why it's also very desirable that we can invite anybody to come and see. Okay, come and see, we can invite anybody. If something is impure, we have to cover, right? We have to cover. So if something valuable, for example, like a ruby, we will pack properly, we will pack everything properly. It's valuable. Then we will cover well. When somebody comes, we will show with good cover, good package. So this is the value. That's why we can say, please come and see. We can invite anybody to come and see this because very pure, or is really truth. We can be found. It can be found. Or it can be experienced practically. So the Subramanian Dharma can be found by noble ones. Only noble one can experience, right? Since it's pure, it's worthy of invitations to come and see it. So this is the explanations. So if we are noble, we can practically experience. If we are ignoble, we cannot experience anymore. Okay, the next one is Opanayiko, Onward Leland. So here we can also understand something about Opanayiko. That means we can also say, okay, neya means bringing. We can also understand that we can bring everywhere, right? We can bring the Dhamma everywhere. So they have mentioned the path and the fruition knowledge are worthy of bringing to the mind by the power of development. Development, right? So we have Subramanian states, path knowledge, and fruition knowledge. So actually, we should bring to our mind, and we should keep in our minds by practicing. For Buddha also recommended his disciple, although your head is burning, or your clothes is burning, just ignore it. Just trying to meditate. Just develop your mind. This is what the Buddha recommends. So this is the first part we have to know, right? So by developing, we can keep in our mind, we can bring it to our minds. This is the first thing we have to understand. Then another one is that the noble path induce noble one or to Nibbana. This is also one thing about this quality. Okay, here we have one thing. Okay, although we can like noble path me intuitively like attracts, right? We will attract people, or we will encourage people. Noble one to Nibbana. One to Nibbana. So the main thing is only noble one can realize Nibbana. That's why this is called Opanayika. And the next one is that the noble fruits and Nibbana can be induced to realizability. So this is that our mind must know Nibbana with fruition knowledge. This is also called realizability. Okay, there are many other explanations. The next one is a Pachatan Uritabo when you hit. Okay. Pachatan Uritabo when you hit. So directly experienced by the wise. So here we have to understand one more thing about by the wise, right? So the noble Dharma can be experienced by the wise each in himself. So in this case, if the teacher can attain headship, he cannot share his headship with his disciple. So also by the power of teacher's headship, it cannot remove or eradicate disciples' hindrances or the defilements. That's why only individually we can experience. It's really personal. We cannot share it with anybody. So here, Visuddhimagga experience, or actually Visuddhimagga actually called know or understand or understood. The main thing is, so no one can experience Nibbana, he himself. Another one is that no one can eradicate the Dhamma by practicing, so eradicate the defilements by practicing Dhamma. His knowledge can eradicate, right? So teacher cannot remove hindrances of disciple. Disciple cannot remove hindrances of teacher. When we can experience Dhamma, we can eradicate the defilements. We can uproot defilements by the power of path and fruition knowledge. That is the part we have to know. And not only that, here also I have another explanations about Okati Tenyu, right? I mentioned Okati Tenyu. So Okati Tenyu can experience at the end of a short discourse. Okay, this is one thing. I have to introduce about different types of meditators or different types of disciples at the time of the Buddha. The first type is Ukati Tenyu. Then they are very bright. Although they have opportunity to listen a short discourse, they can attain path and fruition knowledge, such as Venerable Sariputta. After listening a short discourse from Venerable Assaji, you could attain Sotapanna. This is protocol, right? There are many other disciples, many other arahats. After listening a short discourse, they can attain arhatship. This is called Okati Tenyu, the first type. I didn't type in the list. Next one is Vipanti Tenyu. After listening a long discourse, they can attain path and fruition knowledge. This is called Vipanti Tenyu. For example, Venerable Sariputta. After listening to Tikkanaka Sutta, middle discourse, he attained headship. Then again, we have Neya Bukala. Neya means he must have proper guidance from proper teacher. He must practice by himself. After that, he could attain headship or any attainment. This is called Neya. So it depends on their parami, the perfections or maturity. There will be different types of power, different types of attainment. So Pachadavritapa, when you hear, means only the noble persons can experience. We cannot share it. If noble person attain, for example, like when he attain headship, he can enter into fruition attainment anytime. He cannot share his fruition attainment with his disciple. When disciple can attain headship, he can enter into fruition attainment. he cannot share his spiritual attainments with his teacher. This is really personal, individual. So it will be called Patisambhidamagga when only a wise person can experience. Of course, if we are not very wise, we're going to experience, right? So that means there are many people, they say, Nirvana is nothing to enjoy. We don't wish to go Nirvana. Of course, if we do enjoy, also you're going to go Nirvana, right? So if you don't wish to enjoy, we can attain Nirvana. We can go to Nirvana. If we wish to enjoy something, it's impossible to attain Nirvana. Okay, this is called Patisambhidamagga Vinyuhi. Then we have the arising of asset concentration, as mentioned before. So the arising of asset concentrations, as we have mentioned in Buddha's quality, it will be similar. One, he cannot be obsessed by greed, hatred, and other hindrances. Then two, he has rectitude by taking the meditation's object. So that means his mind is ready to take meditation object, right? His mind will go to strictly to the meditation object. The another one is that energy obligations and sustainment arise. This is the next group. After that, rapture arises. Then tranquility arises, bliss arises, concentration arises. So in this case, rapture will produce tranquility. Tranquility will produce bliss or happiness. The bliss will produce concentrations. When concentration becomes powerful, we can take, there will be jhana fetters arise. We got 5 jhana fetters, right? So Vitakka, Vichara, Pitisoka, Ekakata. We got 5 jhana fetters. So here in this case, by recollecting Buddha's quality, we cannot attain jhana. We can attain only asset concentrations. That is why here we just say jhana fetter arises. We don't say jhana arises. This is the first thing we have to know. Okay, now we have to go to next one. So when we can practice the quality of the Dhamma, what will be the benefits? So one, he is respectful to the Buddha who taught the Dhamma. It will be different from Buddha Nusri, right? In the Buddha Nusri also respect to the Buddha. But he also respect to the Buddha who taught the Dhamma. He gains fullness of faith, especially fullness of faith in Dhamma. So, one more thing, sometimes if we don't have confidence, we cannot practice very well. It's also really very important. That's why from time to time, when they have very weak faith or when their faith become very weak or decline, mostly I recommend to do Buddha Nusri or Dhamma Nusri or Sangha Nusri. So if we can practice Buddha's quality, or we call it Buddha's quality or Dhamma's quality, we can regain faith. We can regain our confidence. Then he gains fullness of mindfulness. So as we have already known, when we say recollections, without mindfulness, we cannot recollect. Then next one is 4. He gains fullness of wisdom. So here wisdom means understanding the full of it, and understanding Buddha's teaching very well. This is also called wisdom. Then again, 5, he gains fullness of merit. So merit means this actually, this is only wholesome, right? When we do any of recollections, it must be wholesome. We should not recollect any unwholesome. Then again, next one, 6. He has full of gladness and rapture. Here we should talk about piti pamacha, gladness and rapture. So we have many different types of rapture, especially when we attain jhana. The rapture will be very fine, very tranquil, or very peaceful rapture, not very gross rapture. So if we have very gross rapture, it will cause excitement. For example, like a floating. If we feel like a floating, it's exciting. Sometimes we are excited. It's a little bit gross rapture. But here in the case of asset concentrations or absorption concentrations, it's really fine, pleasant rapture, not very gross. It will invade all over the body. All over the body, there's a rapture, joy, or gladness. Then 7, he conquers fear and dread. So this is also one thing about the quality is the benefit. So when we have very strong confidence, we can overcome fear and dread. So in reality, there are many instructions about overcoming fear. Actually, when we study, we have already talked about it in Asava meditations. Also, we have already talked about it in Susana Dudenga. That was mentioned that one. So when we are going to see that body, we have to see all the things on the way, right? Like this. If we check everything in detail, we will not have fear. This is one example. Yeah, when we have very strong confidence, no more fear. When we have very strong recollection of Dhamma, no more fear. So that means if you have a lot of fear, you should do recollection of Dhamma. Then again, he can endure bodily pain. Actually, when we talk about Buddha's quality, also I have explained that one. Enduring pain. In many stories, especially about some story about Asian Mahatera. For example, there's one bhikkhu bitten by a tiger. He will feel a lot of pain. But at the time, he just overcome his pain by the power of concentration. So that means, okay, for example, in this case, according to this teaching, according to Dhammanosati, if we can recall this Dhammanosati very well, we have mentioned it was very strong tranquility, rapture, bliss. If we have very strong rapture, very strong joy or tranquility, we will not feel our body anymore. We will not feel any discomfort in our body. So from time to time, meditator also talk to me. My body disappear. It's just normal. Even normal concentrations, if we have very good concentration, the body disappear. When we have very strong tranquility, very strong rapture, very strong bliss, we cannot feel the body. We just see bliss, rapture, tranquility. That's how we can endure pain. We can overcome the pain and the power of rapture, tranquility, and bliss. So now 9, he feels as if he is living with the Dhamma. So previously, in the Buddhanosati, he feels like he is living with Buddha, right? In the presence of the Buddha. But now, he mentions living with the Dhamma. So wherever we go, Dhamma will follow us. If we have very strong recollections. So sometimes in Paudaya, they have some meditator, when they got angry, they come to report me, then I just say, don't recollect dosa. No, we don't have dosa no city. We don't have recollection of dosa, right? We just have recollection of Buddha, recollection of Dhamma like that. If we recollect dosa, this is just unwholesome. Just making ourselves harmful. That's why, so we have to recall Buddha's quality everywhere, then we will be with the Dhamma everywhere. So sometimes when somebody is going to leave our meditation center, I also remind them, okay, you can leave the monastery, but just bring the Dhamma. Don't leave Dhamma here, right? So wherever we go, we can bring our Dhamma. It belongs to everybody. We can experience, we can practice. So that means he will feel as if he is living with the Dhamma everywhere, in any situation. So 10, his body is like a shrine room when Recollections, the Dhamma's quality. We have already mentioned in Buddha University. When we recall Buddha's quality also, we are like shrine room. We are like a jetiya. But now, the Dhamma is also jetiya, a shrine room. So actually, when I was young, some of the very senior Sayadaw remind us, you know, if you are impure, then if you are immoral, many devotees will come and they respect you. What do you do? Actually, we have the way to deal with this kind of situation. Just pay attention to Buddha's quality or Dhamma's quality when somebody is paying homage to us. At the time, we are shrine room. We are worthy of paying respect. That's the way Nyama senior or elderly bhikkhus remind us when we are in the London school. So similarly now, in your daily life, maybe new generation will come and respect you or bow down you at the time. Just pay attention to Buddha's quality or Dhamma's quality. And your body becomes shrine room. When they are respecting you, and they are respecting your shrine room. This is worthy of respect. Then 11, his mind inclined to attain arhatship. This is also really important, right? So there are many meditators that wish to attain Nibbana. They may expect many other things rather than Nibbana. For example, they will expect gain or fame. They may need more followers. That's why they change their directions, sometimes very far from the Dhamma. But here, in this case, our minds were inclined to attain arhatship. That means we will practice well. So sometimes, actually, when we have very strong the analyzing investigation, when we have a lot of doubts, we can ask them to do Buddha University, Dhamma University, Sangha University also is okay. Then when we get lost our confidence also do Buddha University, Dhamma University, we can regain everything. So now the last part. He has awareness of conscience and shames and remembering the quality of Dhamma very well when encountering an opportunity for transgression. So when we are going to break precepts, we will remember Dhamma's quality. Moral shame and moral fear will arise. So one more thing about moral shame and moral fear. Here I just use conscience and shame, right? This means we also say moral shame and moral fear. If we respect ourselves, we have shame, moral shame. If we respect our environment, other people, or other living beings, we have moral fear. So these two are the proximate cause of morality. So by recording Buddha's quality, we made special power to overcome transgressions, breaking rules, because of moral shame and moral fear. Okay, now 13, the last one. He can be reborn in the good destinations after death. So you can imagine, if we cannot attain path and fruition knowledge, if we cannot attain ridership, we can be reborn in the good destination after death. So that is the benefit of recollection of the Dhamma. Okay, so today I will stop here. The Dhamma's qualities are also really very profound. As you have already learned many different things in many different suttas, there are also many other qualities taught by the Buddha. For example, Dhamma is a sublime, profound, deep. Also, it's a really, really pleasant. Also, it's unthinkable, it's beyond imaginary. Only the wise person can experience, right? We have many other qualities of the Dhamma. But now, this is also a kind of practice. As we have already known in Buddha's quality, we don't have any special nimitta. But when we are successful, we can experience that. Then we have already mentioned there are 13 results or 13 benefits of recollection Buddha's quality. We can experience practically. Okay? So this is the teaching of Buddha. And we can also recollect from time to time. Then later, if we can practice well, we can also take asset concentration. Based on it, we can also practice vipassana. At the end of vipassana, we can also take path and fruition knowledge. May you all be able to practice the Buddha's teaching, and may you all be able to realize the final cessations and not suffering. Nibbana.
If someone at the end of his life there is no active treatment and he's waiting to die, so in this condition can he stop eating in order to wait for his death? And this type of behavior, is it considered suicide?
Actually, this question has been asked before. This is like committing suicide short. This is not the way Buddha recommended, right? Okay, next one.
During the discernment of Sandirana, to discern the Lakanati Chatuka, the Lakana Rasa Pachupana and Patatana. So for this Patatana, why it is Hataya Vachu and not the perishing of Sandirana, Sambadichana? So the question is why the Padatana, proximate cause for Sandirana, is not the perishing of Sambadichana, but it is the Hataya Vachu.
Okay. So in this case, for about Padatana, we have the formal, okay, we should understand formally. It can be associated Dhamma. Mostly it can be associated Dhamma, right? Okay, it can be like, for example, in this case of Nama, it also can be associated Nama, it also can be Vachu. Either one can be, this is formal. For about this balance of previous one, so this is according to Anandara Pachaya, is okay, we can say prosaic cause. But if we cannot find any other prosaic cause, it must be associated Dhamma. Okay?
This Sayadaw, this is regarding lesson 26 question and answer. Someone a question about when a meditator discerns to the past life, if he had met living Buddha before, will he be able to see Buddha appearance clearly? The first question, Sayadaw explained that the Buddha has no five clinging aggregates. So a meditator will not be able to see the Buddha appearance clearly. What is the difference between having five clinging aggregates versus having five aggregates?
Okay. So with inside knowledge, we can see clinging aggregates. We cannot see aggregates because Buddha does not have any defilements anymore. Arhats may not have any defilements anymore. That is why Buddha and Arhats don't have clinging aggregates. They just have only aggregates. Okay, next one.
The second part of the question is, in this case, how can a meditator know clearly that he had met a living Buddha in his past life when practicing dependent origination? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Actually, this one is a little bit complicated, right? We can say we cannot know living Buddha with inside knowledge, or we can know it with psychic power. Okay.
Vandami Pujami Sanyador. Some contemporary Buddhist teachers and scholars would tend to interpret Akaliko as timeless, never change, or not hinder, limited by times, referring to Dhamma, which means the teacher or truth is always true and applicable to us all the time. This interpretation seems fair and reasonable, but not found in the Bali commentarial literature. May I know the upside of this contemporary interpretation? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, timeless is really, okay, this kind of things is not really very convenient, right? Actually, no delay. That means between birth and future knowledge, there's no interval between the cause and the effect. We can say like that. No delay or no interval time between the past and future knowledge is referred to that one. So that kind of translation is a little bit risky for me, right? Okay, next one.
Dear Sayadaw, for a new yogi, if he does not have a lot of Dhamma knowledge, how does he practice recollection of Dhamma? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Actually, if we can know only one of the qualities, is also good enough to practice. It doesn't mean you have to know all the qualities. So, for example, when we talk about where it's bounded, right? Morality is good in the very beginning. So if you just do morality is good in the very beginning, just recall it only the one is okay. Similarly, concentration, wisdom, good in the middle. You can also do the same, right? It depends on the knowledge you have already learned. It doesn't matter. Although you just recall only one quality, good enough. Okay.
Dear Sayadaw, a teacher said that if we take refugees in the triple gems, the triple gem protect us. What does the protect mean here? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
The one is it? The read about what?
The triple gem.
Triple gem, okay. Then.
What's the mean? The teacher said if we take refugee in the triple gems, the triple gem will protect us. What does the protect mean?
Okay. So in this case, it will protect us not to fall into fourfold states. We can say like that. Okay. Next one.
Dear Sayadaw, nowadays, some bhikkhu who have teaching Dharma, they may include some topic like counseling contents, worldly content to make their teaching more interesting, especially for a newcomer. Their ideas is it if they only teach pure Dharma, is it very dry and difficult for the student who should we follow their teacher? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, so that means if we wish to know the Dhamma, actually, if we just do only easy thing, we cannot improve. For example, to speak English is really very, very difficult for us, right? If we just learn only English, very easy and simple English sentence constructions, we cannot be fluent English speaker. Similarly, now you may have many Chinese speaker, right? Many Vietnamese speaker, many other language speaker also. So just trying to learn very simple constructions. We're gonna be influential. We're gonna speak fluently. So there must be difficulty everywhere when we are going to learn. So all the improvement comes from difficulty. So that means if you follow all the teacher who teach only easier things, really, really very risky, right? Be careful with that one. I don't recommend to follow that kind of teacher.
Vandamisya, offering requisites to the monastery, food, but not directly offering the food himself. So how to avoid in the process of arranging the donations, it won't involve killing. Because in the process of arrangement, if the process of arrangement it involves killing, then would it cause, it will make the donor involved in the killing also.
Okay, sure. If
Means the donor,
order,
means the donor only offer the requisites to the monastery to arrange for food. So, but the arrangement involved killing. So the original donor, would he also involved in killing?
Okay, so that means actually, if you are sure that you will regret after offering, don't do it. This is the only I can recommend. Only I can remind like this, right? So one more thing, you have to before offering, you have to investigate how they arrange. If they do by killing and also arrange food meats, then you should change the way you offer. Okay, next one.
This is Chinese question.
Vandamisya, though, that's how it mentions that during the process of Dhammanusati, that it will associate with piti. So the question is, would the mind door produce light at that time? In Buddhanusati, when there is a piti, would the mind door also produce light, brightness?
Okay, so actually PT is an okay. Also one is a PT. Also we also have like a shadow also, right? Manya also can be the bright, right? There can be many other things. So for example, in the case of Anathapindika, he had very strong PT. After hearing the name the Buddha, then he cannot sleep because very bright light behind his body. He cannot sleep very well, right? So this is because of PT, because of faith. We can say like that, because of saddha. So similarly, in your question, we can say there can be brightness in the heart base or in the body. It's just normal, okay?
Dear Sayadaw, when practicing recollection of Buddha, often and naturally, I may arise moments of shame for the past mistake I had done. How can I overcome such condition during the practice? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay. Moments of shame, right? For the past practice.
Yes.
Past mistake, right? Past mistake, okay.
Yes.
Actually, we should not recall our past mistakes. One more thing, okay. If we have mistakes, we just determine or decide, and we'll never do the same things, the same mistake anymore. It's good enough. Finish. Just trying to continue your practice. It will be easier. We call Aidin Samvarachita, right? I will never do the same things. I will never make the same mistakes. Okay, next one.
This is Chinese question.
During meditations, there is a dukkha vedana, dukkha feeling. So this dukkha feeling, is it a normal phenomena or it is the maturation or maturations of the dosa vipaka?
No, we cannot say because of past karma, right? It must be only present. It's changeable, you know. If past karma is unchangeable, now it's changeable. We cannot say this is dosa vipaka, right? Okay.
This is Chinese questions.
When he practiced 5 khandha methods, can he practice one by one? Rupa, Vedana, Sanya. When it comes to Sankhara, immediately he divides into Sankhara by taking Chetana and Sankhara by taking other Cetasika besides Vedana and Sanya. After that, Vijnana Khanda. In this sequence, can he practice 5 Khanda methods?
Okay, so if you can do clearly, but the main thing is if you can design clearly, it's okay, not really big problem. The main thing is a clear discernment, right? If it's very clear to your knowledge, you can do it, it's okay. Okay, so now the question about Metta, Karuna, Mudita, right? Okay, there are mentions about Jito Vimoti, right? About Jito Vimoti. So as you also mentioned there, like Metta, Bhumikama, and etc., right? So that means actually it mentions after Metta Jhana, go to Kristina. After that, go to Vipassana. Go to Arupa Jhana and Vipassana like that, right? So it just want to mention that kind of sequence. That's why it mentioned different types of metta and something like that, right? Karuna, Mudita, about the other comparison between the four immaterial jhana and also 4 sublime bhakti. This is the way in the mentioned in the commentary, sub-commentary, okay? Next one.
Vanami Sayadaw, how to practice dependent originations. Sadhu, sadhu, Sayadaw.
It will be very long topics, right? So dependent originations, we have to practice cause and effect relationship between nama rupas and also past causes, present causes, and so forth. There are many ways to explain about different origination. Explain that one. Okay. Etta vada ja amehi sambadam punya sambadam sabbe deva numodandu sabbe buddha numodandu sabbe satta numodandu sabba sampati siriya idame nyatinam hodu sukhita hondu nyadayo idame nyatinam hodu sukhita hondu nyadayo idame nyatinam hodu Sukhita hondu nyadayo idame punyam asavekaya waham hodu idame punyam nibbanasa bhajayo hodu mama punya bhagam savasatanam bhajemi te sabbe me samam punya bhagam lavandu sadhu sadhu sadhu.